So how do we stay at peace in a conflict-driven world? Our central nervous systems, our bodies are always in this entanglement of safety. We need to feel safe. We need to feel in control. We need to do something. So I'd like to make an example of our war in Iran. We need to think forward about what they could potentially do and stop it now so we can achieve world peace. That's what we're being taught, right? But I'd like to tell you right now, there's no peace, first of all, externally. There's no peace out there. There's no peace in creating conflict now. And the most important thing is that our, as you can tell, egos, bodies, programming of our body is causing us to do things. We can look at some of the things that they're saying on the news about our wars and say, that doesn't add up. But their bodies are making them feel triggered into doing something. And a lot of times when it is our ego and our body programming, it looks bananas. So let's get to more examples so we don't care so much about the world, what's happening, but so we can achieve an eternal state of peace. Because believe it or not, that is always our number one goal. So hopefully some of this will help you achieve that. So we're just going to look at a lot of different things, and I'm not picking sides or saying what's right or wrong. So always know that about this channel. So welcome back to Zen Penguin. And today we're going to talk about a world in conflict and how we can stay at peace. So the number one thing we have to understand is that the further away you go from yourself in trying to achieve peace is dictating how distant you are from your inherent true nature, your spark of God, your conscious awareness. Most of us live in a state of central nervous system dysregulation, and what that means is our body is always triggered into fight or flight. Fight, right? So you can see it with the way we drive, with the way that when somebody approaches us to say something, we are very ready. We're tense. We're defensive. We're really on edge. We're easily provoked. We're always ready for a challenge. We're ready to debate. We're ready to interrogate. Like all of those things are very programmed into our nervous system. Why? Because our body is programmed to keep us safe. And this goes back, this is an ancient thing with our bodies. You know, it scours the environment for predators. So be with me here. If we're still doing that, let's show how that is applied to current state of affairs and how it's actually nonsense and bananas when we look at it from a higher level of attention, of consciousness outside of our body. So the war that we're in now with Iran, it was told to us that the reason is because if we don't address this now in the future, they will create weapons of mass destruction and we have to stop them now. Okay, so we're just going to use this as an example. Even if all of that stuff was true, we are in that scenario getting triggered by our central nervous system into fight, right? Let's just say we're the president. And it's like, oh, somebody told us they're creating a, long-range missile of mass destruction that can hit the US, and what do you want to do about it? And if you really pay attention, I'm not picking if he was good ever, or if he's bad now, or bad, good, none of that. But I'm just saying, in this scenario, he lacks a lot of common sense or an intelligent answer to any of the questions about the war. So that kind of indicates to us that his body is in a triggered state and he's just fight, acting like an egomaniac. I saw something from the Israeli leadership regime talking about, we will crush them, things like that. And so we're going to use this to understand the further out we go. So all the way Iran, we got to fight a war to keep the US safe. The US is falling apart inside of itself. We're spending, he asked for what, $200 trillion? Our whole country could be repaired with that money. The thing that is causing this country stress and duress is not the future of maybe a bomb, but what's going on now. Our streets are messed up. It's messing up our cars. We don't have enough housing. The cost, we can't even afford to feed our families, just all of these things. The jobs are not available. I mean, these are all things you can check. So we're investing in a future fear of something very far away can hurt us, destroy us. So this is the focus that we have to do to get to peace. That's the goal. So it seems very weird if you look at it from a higher intelligence that we're doing this. So let's look at it that way and then get some understanding of what we're doing in our own lives that aren't helping us achieve peace, that we're doing something externally to try to fix something at home. Okay? So it reminds me a lot of the community I grew up in. Everybody's always telling everybody about themselves and what they need to do to fix their lives. And why are you so dumb? You a dumb hoe. Just real crazy stuff going on. And it's amusing to me now because I had moved away from that environment and maybe 20 years later came back and saw that they were all doing that still, and they were trying to do that to me, who had been very successful in my life. Because why? Because I worked on myself. I went inside. I wasn't trying to talk about it, not be about it, do external fixes to fix my own self-sabotage and my own patterns, my own body consciousness. I'd worked on it. And so it helped me awaken, though, because your soul is always trying to help you awaken. It helped me awaken to the fact that they're only sitting here beating against things in the reality to avoid the conflict within themselves. So we can all understand this right here. But where we get real divested from working on ourselves is that our body, when we're triggered into a problem, we do the same thing, because that is our fight or flight mechanism that is deeply ingrained into our body consciousness. And so in Course in Miracles, the thing that I studied a lot, it drove me bananas that Jesus said in many of the teachings, day after day, we had to say, I am not a body, I am free, I am as God created me. I am not a body, I am free, I am as God has created me. Because the body will make us do bananas things. And so then at a certain point in your evolution, like when I went home and they were trying to tell me what to do, that seemed absolutely bananas to me because I'd already well exceeded a lot of the guideposts that they were trying to get me to. And I was recognizing that they're just looping, thinking they're speaking intelligence and telling me what to do, but I had already surpassed all of that, and I was like really awakened to that. Now let's put that on our president right now. He's triggered into a body consciousness that doesn't make sense to most of us. Republican or Democrat, we're like, what is this guy talking about? Even his right-hand man of war, Hegsworth or Hegseth or whatever his name is, he's doing the same thing. He seems like he's a jock at high school talking about the wrestling team crushing people. It's like super weird, right? But I'm not using this as a judgment. I want you to understand what you look like when you're trying to fix things out there, because the body is surveilling external things, right? To fight or flight. Always. And depending on your habitual patterns, you're either going to fly away from situations, which is annoying to people who fight, or you're going to fight, right? So your body program keeps you on that hamster wheel. But what happens is you have to start to bring your higher intelligence when you're doing that. And you're not going to be able to stop yourself at first, but at least have your higher intelligence watching this, causing some separation of awareness so you can see that your body and your mouth and your mind are running on autopilot. And then what happens is you're understanding that the only reason none of us are at peace is because we're stuck in this. And it doesn't even make sense. Because, like I said, if we were in a higher awareness, we'd be like, first we have to fix our country from the inside out. First we have to fix ourselves from our inside out in our own home, and then go out from there. And that's why I was saying, the further you are from your own self, your self-awareness, awareness of the body, overcoming that unconscious programming, the more out you'll go. Now we're in Iran, and it's like, oh man, geez, there's so many things we could do with that money right here. And so start that understanding in your own life. If you want to save the world, go home and love your family and yourself, as I've said on this channel before, because once you don't have conflict in yourself as much, and you start to get to those calm, cool, collected places where your body's not doing that, then you can start overcoming that programming. That's the only thing any of us should be doing right now, period. All of us, at least here in the US, we have become reactive messes. Sorry, no judgment in that, but we have to call it as we see it. That's the elephant in the room. We're all reactive messes. How are we ever going to have world peace if we're all doing this? I just wonder sometimes if there's something up above the world that could see each, country and see how much dark energy their chaos is creating. And they have a barometer of like, the US not doing so good. So, and I'm not saying other countries are doing good. I think the whole world is kind of in a shit show because this body programming is meant to be I don't want to say overcome, I want to say embraced and neutralized. And our bodies are meant to be a tool, not, we don't need to be servants to our body anymore. That fight or flight thing. And so traumas cause it, and it keeps coming through our genetics. Epigenetics is studying how we undo that. And that's kind of what we're talking about right now. We need to undo that. Stop being, if we look at why we're at war right now, it just seems like some caveman, I am monster, hear me roar type stuff, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the other thing too is that we're all done with the narratives they try to feed us about why things are why. And I think a lot of that comes to the point that we realize we're just so tired of spinning all of this trauma. We're so tired of hearing all these narratives that just keep us in this fight or flight state. And to be honest, that's how we've been kind of manipulated. So how do we change this? What do we do now? Because remember, we don't want to go outward to change anything. The further out you go, I got to run to Minnesota and do some stuff there, is the further from where it really matters. And that's you and the people around you initially, and then your community, then maybe your town, then maybe your state, then maybe the US, but most definitely not Iran. You know what I'm saying? So how do we start to overcome this body consciousness? And I hope that really hits home for you. Because have you ever had moments you're like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why am I running towards something? And as soon as it's there, I run away. It's all this. And so we get a lot of confronting situations to start triggering that body consciousness, and then our higher self saying, see what's happening, so that we can start to neutralize that. But this is the whole journey here on earth. We want to be conscious creators. We don't want to be defaulting to our fight or flight patterns. So let's get to the tips and tricks. The first and foremost, number one thing that you can do to start healing this fight or flight response your body gives you is to recognize it. And that doesn't mean to stop it or shame yourself or do something different, because that's where we get into a trap of giving up. We really just have to have that awareness that that's what we're doing. Okay, I said this stuff. I smacked the shit out of a girl's hand. I did this, I did that, or I told this person this. And we have to start to see like that's automated. We don't even have a split second to stop ourselves. It's just like breathing. Then once we start to recognize it, a lot of spiritual teachers say that it just starts to naturally unravel because it's losing its power, because the power was it in being unconscious. And once we make it conscious, it's going to lose that. So that's step one, is just to bring awareness, like walk through your day. Like I said before, as a walking meditation, like you're just pure awareness, seeing everything that's happening. Oh, this fool said that to me, and now I feel rejected and abandoned, and I want to go in the bathroom and cry. And it's like, duh, that doesn't even make sense. And so you just keep doing that until you start to have a recognition of a lot of what your body responses are and your traumas and triggers. And then you just do, as I always say, you remind your body that you're safe. Once you start to have that awareness, it's not so automatic, and you'll have a pause there, a moment in between your reaction and when something happens, and you can say, no, you're safe. and you keep doing that until those responses start to dissipate and go away. And then once you get on top of that and you want to start embracing new patterns and habits, then you start to create an environment that you want, because your environment wasn't of your creation before you, because you were too much in these self-sabotage body patterns. And so then you can go to, I'm not going to engage with that when somebody tries to trigger you in the same old ways and your body responds, and then you're just doing the same thing day in and day out because it's a habit and a pattern now. And if your body's in a habit and pattern, like we're talking about, it's hard to go away. So in your environment, you just have to start saying, I don't want to engage this way. To all the external stimuli that is used to triggering you, confronting you, and starting to get you to react. You just have to start saying, I don't want to engage this way. And you wouldn't believe how quickly that shuts down the other person. And it also shuts down your reactionary nature of your body. So that would be step 2. You don't want to do this anymore. And step 3 is to recognize there's nobody and nothing to change but me in this scenario. And then when you get on top of it, then you can start helping others in a gentle guidance way. Because if you're doing it from your reactionary states, then you will just be doing the old patterns of the body. So then you would start, like, the reason I'm even doing these videos is maybe I watched something today that really was like, what? That's terrible. And you want to fight the funk. Like, we should start a freaking riot, you know, let's stop this stuff and this and that. But no, here I am. Okay, let me get it out in the reactionary way that might actually put change. Me helping others overcome their body consciousness is the way. Not going out in the streets and rioting. It's just not going to work. Just creating a whole lot of body consciousness shit show. A lot of dysregulated emotions flying around, causing chaos. Not going to solve any of the world problems. So step 3 would to be then teaching is learning, as Jesus said. If we teach others that it's safe, then we're also telling our body it's safe, and we're reprogramming through the repetition. Repetition is how we got here. And that's why it's so bad right now, is we've been repeating these patterns since ancient times. It's in our genetics, it's studied, and now the central nervous system is burnt out. And so from that place, we're going to start to surrender it. And so just start teaching others once you got a grapple on it. So see how we're doing it with ourselves first, then our home. So teach people in your house, and then your community. And keep it going. And that one small spark can ignite the world. I think this is where we're moving to. So I hope this video helps you understand where the real enemy is in your own environment, and how if we all get that under wraps, then we can all communicate and we can all get to peace together. So that's it for now, and until next time, take care.